The Cool Gent.
Yes, ma'am.
Man, we listen to your music and we love it on the weekends. We look forward to listening to your music. I want you to know that.
Okay, thank you so much. You know, I started in professional radio here in Gary, so it's always like coming home to me every time I come out here.
Bro, that's wonderful because you talk about that in your book.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, you talk about your beginning, your middle, and now to the present, what you're doing today. This is a fabulous book
Thank
that
you.
I read. It's fabulous. It's interesting. It's funny. It makes you laugh. It makes you want to cry. It's everything that a life should be of a person of your stature who's been in radio.
Yes. And I want to say I'm lucky to get out of this thing alive, as you'll see.
Wow.
If you read the book, some of the narrow escapes I have, that's why we call it The 9 Lives of Herb Kent, which is aptly named.
Right, because you've run into times where you were near death.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yes.
I really have.
Right. You just mentioned that you lived in Gary, Indiana, and you started here because you were sent over here to do a radio show.
Well, what happened, my early years in radio really spent at WBEZ, the Board of Education radio station. We did really good dramas. We did professional, well, semi-professional. We did dramas about Christopher Columbus and stuff like that on the radio. So that's how I started as like a junior in high school, going down there, and they taught me articulation and all the different things that I think a person should know. So I learned at an early age, and it formed me doing things that I do today. So it was just, if everybody could start at an early age, you could get rid of a lot of bad habits. But there are some people who started later in radio and have done fine too, but I just happen to have had the opportunity to start early. So I got a job at NBC as an office boy, and I let everybody know I wanted to be on the radio. Well, I couldn't get on NBC. I was only 18 years old and really not qualified to serve in that capacity. But one of the announcers found a man that owned a radio station here in Gary. His name was George Whitney. He had just opened the station, and he sent me out there to him.
Was it WWCA?
No, it was WGRY.
Okay.
Which is now WLTH.
Oh, okay.
WWCA was in the Gary Hotel?
Yeah. Well, yeah, it probably started in the hotel, and then it moved across the street.
And they were 24 hours, and we were sun up to sundown.
Right.
But that's how it got started. It was 2489 Louisiana, I think. And at that time, they had a little creek in the back, and they had fish in it, carp fish and everything, and people would come out and fish and stuff like that. It was pretty rural. I don't know what it is now.
Wow. And that, well, there's homes there now.
It was a Quonset hut. You know what those look like?
No.
It was like a huge half garbage can. It was round like that, and it had been converted to a studio. So that's the way it started.
That's interesting.
It was really interesting.
When did they really start playing that soul music where you can just get out and build a really good audience?
Well, you know something, I think maybe in the 50s, I left WGES and got my first really permanent job at WBEE in Harvey.
Okay.
And then the ball game was on.
Okay.
We played a lot of doo-wops, you know. The Spaniels, they came from Gary, a very popular group. The Eldorados and Vivian Carter, who lived in Gary here, formed a label, VJ Records in Chicago, and perpetuated that sound. And there was Chess Records, Atlantic, and like I say, the ball, it was on with all the early artists, with some of which I still play today on my Dusty
The
Radio
doo-wop,
show.
the
The
50s era.
Doo-wops and blues.
Okay.
They used to call it rhythm and blues. A lot of blues singers, Dinah Washington, and a lot of jazz too.
Right, right.
Everybody had a full plate of that back then. I moved on to WHFC. It's in the book how they had a strike of trying to unionize WBEE, and we walked the picket line. That was my first chance or opportunity to do that. That was not pleasant, but we did it. And while I was on strike, the union got me a job in Chicago, and BEE was in Harvey, and I took it. And that was one of the things that started to make this other station capitulate, because I was their best announcer.
Okay.
And they were able to take me from one station to another, and after they got me, then they capitulated. But it was too late. I was already in Chicago. And I then sold my own. I had a salary. I was in the union. I had a salary, and I sold radio time also. So
Yeah.
for the first time in my life, I can remember I made at least $17,000 a year, and this was 1960.
That was pretty good, Herb.
That was all right. I had a new Thunderbird and everything.
I was just about to ask, what kind of car did you purchase?
I had a convertible Thunderbird. I was
That was fly.
and
That
yeah,
was
I was really flying. I did